We begin with Senator Marco Rubio of Florida, a member of the Senate Foreign Relations and Intelligence Committee. Senator, good to see you tonight. Thank you for being with us. What's your reaction to this story?
Well, I think, first of all, the tremendous irony, right? And I think, look, this is an example. I mean, he's now claiming that he wants to be treated fairly, but he, as a member of the Intelligence Committee, was going around telling people that the president was an agent of a foreign government. And obviously, when people hear that from someone who's on the Intelligence Committee, they think he must know something. He must know something the rest of us don't know. And in fact, that became a habit from a lot of people. They would go around saying, well, there's things you don't know that we can't tell you, but it's bad. So a lot of that stuff was going on. It was very unfair to the president. I think in hindsight, we see that it was all not true. And so I think you can't go around behaving that way and then expect that you're going to enjoy the benefit of the doubt. Look, there are legitimate questions. I'm not accusing anyone of anything. It is perhaps exactly the way he says, and I hope he takes up your invitation to come on and explain it. But the broader question here is there are a lot of legitimate questions that I think are important to answer, not just as a member of Congress to his constituency, but in the House if he wants to continue to serve in this important role. And I'm not saying he doesn't have good answers. I don't know. But there is a tremendous amount of irony here, obviously. Yeah,
and as I said, we would be absolutely happy and open to hearing all of his side of this story. The other thing that really strikes me is the defensive briefing that he was given. As soon as they figured out that she was trying to get information out of him, they went right to him and let him know. And President Trump was not afforded that information. He was basically treated as a target during the course of the investigation into his campaign. Why is the treatment so different?
Well, obviously, there are different time periods, different agents probably, I'm certain, did those briefings. And in fact, we know that as part of the president's briefing, there were people at that defensive briefing after he had become president-elect who were there simply to observe him to see how he reacted as he was told these sorts of things. So they used the defensive briefing for investigative purposes. We know that now. We didn't know that then. So that obviously that's a practice that the FBI, I hope, has corrected. And the broader issue of the Chinese espionage issue is a huge issue. This is exactly what they do. They do recruit mayors. They do go down and try to get close to, through students and activists, but also through people in business and others. They try to get close to local leaders. They play the long game. And this is a prototype of exactly the kind of efforts they try to carry out. They get to know you when you're a city councilman in hopes that one day you might be a U.S. senator, a member of Congress, a member of the cabinet, and in a position to help them, at a minimum, because you have a pro-China view of things, a pro-China narrative in your head, but also potentially because they have compromising information on you that they can use to get you to vote or support initiatives that they want. Yeah. It's very troubling, and I don't think it's isolated to this one story, unfortunately.
No, probably not. And that remains the lingering question about any compromise. And that was the big question that all these same people had about the Trump campaign. Were they compromised? And those same questions need to be answered in this situation. This is Christopher Wray talking about the big picture, as you suggest, Senator.
We've now reached the point where the FBI is opening a new China-related counterintelligence case about every 10 hours. Of the nearly 5,000 active FBI counterintelligence cases currently underway across the country, almost half are all related to China.
So that's essentially what you were bringing up in terms of the scope of this, which brings me to my next question. There's suggestion that the former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, Pete Buttigieg, is on the short list to potentially become the ambassador to China. This is obviously one of the most important diplomatic relationships that are on that list of countries that you deal with. And, one of the other famous ambassadors to China was President George H.W. Bush, who by that point had been shot down in World War II over the Pacific and earned a medal for his valor in that situation. He had been a member of Congress. He had been the ambassador to the United Nations, and he went on to become the head of the CIA. Is Pete Buttigieg qualified for that role?
No, he's not. It's and it's no disrespect towards the mayor of the city, who frankly, just doesn't have the breadth and depth of experience to interacting with China. In fact, his only experience with China, to my understanding, is he worked at McKinsey, the consulting group that actually there's China-related issues with regards to them and some of the companies and things that they've supported. It doesn't mean he's not qualified to be an ambassador somewhere. I just personally believe that you are dealing with the second largest economy in the world, the second most powerful military in the world, a near-peer competitor of the United States, the country with whom the relationship we have will define the rest of the 21st century. I think it's important that we send someone to that post that has some depth of understanding about all the issues related to that country and our relationship with them. And again, with all due respect to the former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, I just don't think that that's what gets you ready for it.